you thinking about buying or selling a home in Q4 of 2024? Have you been on the fence, but you may have saw that the Fed had made its largest rate cut in nearly 4 years. Now, how does this impact your real estate goals? In today's market update, we're going to be going over all of these different data points. We're going to go over where interest rates are, where they're likely to be, and then at the end of the day, you got to make the decision for yourself. Is now the right time for you to accomplish your goals? My name is Spencer Sue, and in the last 5 years, I helped over 250 families with their moves. And this year alone, we are having some of the best years that we have had because a lot of people, just like you guys that are watching on this channel, are working with myself to gain a strategy, competitive edge, and a advantage, especially by being more informed than others. Now, let's take a look at some of these key data points and key points of the month. So, in terms of active inventory, by popular demand, I'm actually including Marin County now as part of the stat. So, in this view, you're going to see Alameda County, Contra Costa County, Marin County, San Francisco County, San Mateo County, and now Santa Clara County. Don't worry, we will do an individual breakdown so you can see for yourself, are there any specific differences between all these different counties. But as a macro, you see that September 2024, we have the most amount of active listings that we have had all year. So for those that have been waiting or hoping for more inventory, there is no excuse. You see more homes than ever that either come on the market or remain on the market. Now, the next logical question, though, is even though there's more homes that are available, that more sellers are willing to sell, how about prices? Like, how has prices been through the months? If you saw my previous updates, you have saw there has been a decline. And the question was always, is that a normal summer decline? Because every summer it always declines. Or is there a bounce back? Because it is also natural that you have a bounce back in the fall time. And if you look at this number, you can clearly see that there is a bounce back. And when you have this many data points, 41,000 homes that have sold in the last 12 months, it gives you a very clear idea about what is really going on. So you can see there is a bounce back, right? It went from 1.265, which is as of September closings, and that was higher than the August numbers, which was some of the lowest it has been all year at 1.225. Right, so this increase of about 40,000, equivalent about 3%, has been very clear that we are seeing a pickup. Now, I suspect that the October numbers will probably be at this number, if not slightly higher. And then don't be surprised that you're going to then fall into the winter season, which usually sees some numbers a little bit lower. Let's take a look at the velocity of things, the days to sell. Has that improved? You can see as prices have risen by 3%, the median days on market has remained a little bit better, right? Right now, the median is about 2 weeks. Most good homes are still a week, but there are some that are having or needing 2 weekends of open houses to be able to get a couple of buyers. So in general, things are definitely slower than, as you can see, during the spring season, but they're still moving pretty quickly. So you got to be ready to go. Now, let's talk about the volume, right? The number of sales that has occurred in the last month as before. September, though, you can see while prices have increased, the number of sales is much lower than the number of sales that you experienced in the summertime. So that's kind of interesting. Sometimes when you have lower sales, you actually have lower prices, lower sales prices, but not in this case. So we will monitor to see, like, are buyers just not as going to be active? Maybe they're distracted with elections. Maybe they have concerns about the economy, or maybe they're just very passive, not wanting to do anything. And or for sellers, are they disconnected with where they hope the value of the home may be? Unfortunately, some sellers are in the mindset that just because a neighboring home sold in the spring for X, that they think their home is worth the same, which is generally not the case. Spring this year was a very busy time, and that's not the situation right now as we speak. The other thing I want to point out is the general sales to list price ratio. And I'm going to put the sale price to original price ratio here. You can see this number in versus the original price, you're still seeing a premium, 103% on the median. And this is because generally most people are listing their homes a little bit lower than what they expect. Now, you did see that the month of September has an increase. So there is that 3% premium that you just saw. So in this case, it may have not been an actual, like, having an artificial low number. It may actually just be uh, the reality of like the market has rebounded. There are more people active again, more people looking at homes and wanting to make a move. So that's some interesting insights. Now let's go over some of these stats about specific counties, and that way you can see for yourself in the last couple of months how are different counties doing. Let's talk first with Santa Clara County. So you can see for yourself, are they all following the same trend, or are some of them doing better than the others? When you look at Santa Clara County, you can see it's been a general still decline. September wasn't a pickup. As hot as NVIDIA has been, it still has not been an increase. So when we make offers, we make a little bit of a valuation decline depending on when exactly it's sold. Of course, different cities are reacting different, have different dynamics. So just be mindful as you do comparison. And so this is why you really need to understand what the level of competition looks like to be able to make an educated guess as to what is going to be competitive to win this place. Let's look at San Mateo County. San Mateo County, same thing, right? It's been a slight decline. Now, September has kind of evened off a little bit, but there is no rebound. So two of the most expensive counties have been this result. Let's take a look at Alameda County. How is that performing in terms of the median price? Alameda County has had this little rebound, right? And this is a little bit of a surprise to me. I would have thought Alameda County would have been less desirable as people had to return to the office. But there's always a counter argument, right? The median price here is at $1.1 million versus other areas you saw was 1.5, 1.6. And this is a blend of condos and townhomes already factored into this. Now let's look at another region. Look at Contra Costa County. Contra Costa County, also a slight pickup. So as you can see, people are making the trade-off because of the cheaper prices to be able to be more flexible when it comes to their commute. Let's look at San Francisco. San Francisco, okay, pretty big pop-up, right? August, for whatever reason, had a pretty bad month. But then again, this may be because San Francisco has such a big variety of homes when it comes to like condos and single family. Let's break this up with San Francisco single family first. So San Francisco, you can see they kind of follow the average trend. It had declines and then it has picked back up in September. But let's take a look at the condo side of San Francisco. You can see it's kind of all over the place. And that's probably why there's a more significant variance that you saw, because there's all sorts of different types of condos throughout the city. Of course, if you have a few in certain areas that do transact, that's going to boost up the numbers. So condos is a lot harder to really analyze when it comes to trends. But if you compare the things in a similar building and then you look at which floor it's on along with what kind of views, that's probably the best way to really understand your options. I have a condo that's been on the market in San Francisco at the Beacon for some time, but now we're getting activity and we may hopefully be getting offer fairly soon. So when it comes to condos, you just never really know, because at the end of the day, it's not like these other homes that have a huge buyer pool. It's going to be a specific need for a specific amount of time, and then it's a good place for those individuals. And then last but not least, by very popular demand, especially with all of you that are subscribed and watching me on YouTube, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of this content. But look at Marin County. You can see Marin County has had a few flat months previously, but has a nice pickup too. Now the Marin County prices are at 1.51. So this gives you a pretty good idea as to what's been going on with the general market in terms of prices. Let's take a quick look at the number of new listings. I think that's going to be really helpful, especially for those that are thinking about selling their house, or also those that are potentially considering to buy a house. Take a look at this number of new listings. And we're going to go with Marin County first. 371. There is in September virtually the same amount of new listings as there was in the busiest times of spring. Interesting, right? Like this is like very, very busy time in terms of options that buyers have. Now let's look at some other respective areas. Let's look at San Francisco. And as you can see, I'm just literally doing this all real time. So this is all data that you have that any sort of media outlets like others will not have. Look at San Francisco. Dang, 854. The amount of new listings that a lot of people are trying to make a move is higher than any times in the last year. So for those that have been hoping and waiting for more homes, there is no excuse. If you're not finding any homes now, this has nothing to do with waiting for new listings. It's about your search and having your search in the right areas. You look at San Mateo County, right? Look at these numbers. I mean, this is even higher than the numbers from April. So very, very busy time. Very, very busy time. Let's look at Santa Clara County. Right, Santa Clara County, you can see a little bit of difference. Not as high as the April, May numbers, but still very strong. The third highest month of the entire year. Let's wrap things up with Alameda and then Contra Costa County. So Alameda County, right? September had more listings than even April, the second highest time of the year. In October, you'll probably see a little bit less, but you'll still see a good amount. So if those are actively looking, this is still a great time. You look at Contra Costa County, right? Contra Costa County in this case, not as much. So a lot of their activity was April, May, but now, as you can see for September, it was actually even comparable to June. So every county has its own blend and no differences. So let's talk a little bit about interest rates. When the Fed had announced their rate cut at around September 19, some people thought that rates all of a sudden just jump down from there, but that's not how it works. Typically, mortgage rates follow more along the 10-year treasury yield, which is a lot more of the economy, a lot more with future forecasting of where the rates will be. So it's all already been factored in that the Fed was going to make a 0.5% basis cut decrease. But at the same time, as you can see, if you really look at those dates of September 19, rates were already on the rise again since then. The lowest point was actually the week leading up to it. So when the Fed made their announcement, it wasn't new enough that all of a sudden that rates will keep dropping. Like if the Fed said they're going to do 75 basis points, or if they're going to do 75 basis points, and we're going to keep doing 50 basis points after that over and over again, then that shows some pretty big signs that that you're going to see some more downward pressure. But because that wasn't the case, all of this was expected, and you see actually rates increase again. So right now, rates for the average would be plus or minus in the low sixes. Now, to be fair, for jumbo, many of my clients are in already the mid fives to low fives. So for those that are actually buying more expensive homes, lenders have different instruments to be able to accommodate these by using their balance sheet to be very competitive. So actually, interesting enough, the more expensive you get, quite frankly, the better your rate may be if you fall into the jumbo category. So this brings up to the logical questions that everybody has. Is now a good time to buy, and is now a good time to sell? Let's break it down separately. For those that are thinking about buying, why were you buying a home to begin with? Are you renting? Are you needing more space? You have, as you can see, the prices have not dropped. At least interest rates have gotten better. But also, there's more homes that you will see now than even arguably in some areas versus the springtime. What more can you ask for? A lot of buyers are more passive right now. And so there is opportunities that you can take advantage of. Maybe it's like different terms that you didn't have the ability to. By tomorrow, hopefully, crossing fingers, we will close on on one of my clients' places. We did a contingent on sale, and that was really, really difficult, right? Out of the 250 transactions I've done, I don't think there was any of them, either on the buy or sell side, we had that, because that's just so hard to do. But it was still done. We sold a condo and we got into a single family. So as competitive as single family are, there is still opportunities that it can still be structured with the right approach and the right strategy, right? So that's kind of on the buy side. If you're thinking about doing it, nobody's really forced to buy, but most people want to keep moving on with their lives, right? Like my listing recently on Eldon, we had 50 plus groups of people within the first weekend, 20 plus groups the second weekend. Plenty of people still looking at a $2 million plus single family home, right? So there's still a lot of activity, but a lot more people have been passive. So this is a great opportunity to take advantage of the market. Now, if you're thinking about selling, you got critical choices, right? On one end, you still got about a month left, in my opinion, before things get way quieter, which is going to be the normal November, December time. I mean, take a look at these numbers, right? November, you still got a good amount because you still get a good amount still left leading up to Thanksgiving. And December will be really, really bad, like significantly less in terms of options. I mean, as you can see from the numbers, from December to like a busier time, you're looking at a fourth, right? A fourth of those homes, maybe a third of the homes, depending on the times. So like significantly less. So on one end, you have less competition. That's the positive news, right? Because you're clearly competing with less product. On the other end, historically, prices do kind of decline, especially towards a later time. So let's take a look at the median price, right? And we'll just pull up any example. We'll look at Contra Costa County. So you can see the numbers are generally some of the lower numbers, but you can still see the November numbers was still pretty good relative to the year. So if you're thinking about selling a place, now might be still a fine time to sell, like right away before you get things into these other seasons. And keep in mind, November transactions are October sales, right? Versus December numbers are from November sales, right? So if you're able to still squeeze in uh, your home on the market like very, very soon, which we can do, some of our turnarounds for some of these upcoming listings have been only a 1 or 2 week turnaround. If that's the case, it's still time and it still may be an option for you to sell. And potentially, most people that are selling are wanting to buy. Perhaps you can buy at a pretty good price in the winter time, right? So there are some few options, but just be mindful there's always pros and cons with each of them. And it's my goal to be able to help educate you about it, but also help you position it so that you will be successful. If you want to go over a game plan, let's set up a time to talk. You can either call or text me at 408-547-4590 or send me a DM. See you next time. Bye now.